Hello everyone, my name is Taylor and I'm here to introduce our next Fall 2020 storytelling series presented by Justborn. We will have Marcie from the Celtic Cultural Alliance reading to us Nessie, the Loch Ness Monster. She'll also be showing us how to make a little Loch Ness Monster creature just out of Play-Doh. It's super fun. And we also have a coloring sheet that will be posted in the comments on our Facebook page, so that way you can print it out and color it at home. I hope you enjoy the story and I hope you enjoy the crafts today.
Hi, I'm Marcie Mulligan. I'm with Celtic Cultural Alliance. Our signature event is Celtic Classic Highland Games, which is held the last weekend in September of every year. We have the U.S. National Highland Games Championships. We have bagpipes and bands and lots of activities. We also hold educational outreach events once a month, if not twice a month, at our office on 4th Avenue in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Please check us out at www.celticfest.org. Today I'm very excited to be reading you today a book called Nessie, the Loch Ness Monster. It's about the Loch Ness Monster, which is in Scotland, which is one of the 7 Celtic nations. And it's by Richard Brassey. Long millions of years ago, the northernmost part of Scotland was not part of Scotland, but there came a time when it crossed the sea and crashed into the rest. The prehistoric sea monsters all rushed to escape, except, the story goes, for one named Nessie. She was always a dreamy sort of monster. Luckily, when the 2 parts collided, they left a large gap. This is called Loch Ness, or Loch na Bestie, which is Gaelic for the Lake of the Monster. Loch Ness is so deep that you could stand 3 big bends in it and they would not still reach the top. The Statue of Liberty could dive in happily without any chance of her head hitting the bottom. And 5 jumbo jets could be placed wingtip to wingtip and still have room to loop the loop. Plenty of room for a monster. Here, Nessie lived happily for a few million years until 565 AD, when a man called St. Columba, who was busy converting the Scots to Christianity, shouted, "Get back," from the bank. Nessie was surprised, but didn't pay attention. And for 1,000 years or more, she was left in peace to swim to and fro in the loch. Occasionally, she would also stroll amongst the hills. The monks of St. Benedict's Abbey kept a careful record of sightings. The beautiful Urquhart Castle was built beside the loch, but the people who lived there were far too busy fighting off attackers to have any time for monsters. Eventually they left, and the castle fell into ruins. But then, in 1933, disaster struck. A road was built along the edge of the loch. The noise was frightful, what with crashing and banging and rocks splashing into the water all day long. And that came the truth. Traffic, bumper to bumper. What was a monster to do? Everywhere Nessie went there were people. She tried to keep out of their way, but one day, while sneaking over the road for a wee wander in the heather, she was spotted by Mr. and Mrs. George Spicer from London, England. "It's loathsome, simply horrible, abomination." And that was the end of Nessie's peaceful time. Newspapers all over the world were full of the story. A famous circus ringmaster offered £100,000 to anybody who could catch the monster for him. Loch Ness Monster, read all about it. People poured into the Scottish Highlands. The new road beside the loch became even more crowded. Everybody claimed to have seen the monster. Some of them said it had a head like a sheep. Others described a shaggy mane. Most thought it had a long neck. But did it have a tail? Was it as big as a house or only the size of a cow? A few brave souls came within a hair's breadth of catching it. One of the newspapers sent a big game hunter to track Nessie. The hunter thought it would be more fun to make his own monster tracks with a stuffed hippo leg, which he had used as an umbrella stand. Everybody was fooled. Photos of monster footprints were in all the newspapers. One day a surgeon who was driving by the Loch was startled to see Nessie. He took a photo, but it did not come out very clearly. Perhaps his hands were shaking at the time, but it is still the best photo of Nessie that anyone has yet taken. Whether the surgeon's hands were still shaking when he later removed an appendix in Inverness, Scotland, is not known. Everybody wanted to find out how Nessie came to be in Loch Ness and why she looked different to each person who saw her. Some people say that she came and went through mysterious tunnels connecting Loch Ness to the sea. They said there were other monsters too. They couldn't explain why the water in the loch didn't run away through the tunnels. Other people said that Nessie was simply the proud mother of a whole family of wee monsters, though who the father was they did not care to say. One day, two boys were out fishing and they noticed three very queer little creatures swimming behind their boat. They looked like eels, more like lizards. They told the monks of St. Benedict's, who knew at once what they had really seen: baby monsters. A great expedition was organized. 20 men watched the loch for a whole month, and one of them actually filmed the monster. The film was rushed to London and shown to some famous zoologists. The zoologists pretended to know what Nessie was, though they hadn't a clue. "A seal, don't you know? Most certainly a seal, or else a salmon. Not a shadow of doubt, a seal or a salmon, or else a shrimp." But the film was never seen again. People are still trying to find Nessie. The man who searched on a hand glider was afraid the noise of an aeroplane might scare Nessie off. Another man was nearly drowned as he tried to take a photo when Nessie came up under his canoe. One man went fishing for her by night. His boat was found empty the next morning. He had vanished. Still another dived into a mini submarine, taking photographs underwater. Some people would like to drain the loch so they can watch and search the bottom. Others devise complicated traps which never seem to work. A group of scientists tried boats fitted with sonar, which is what bats use to find insects. And there's one man who has searched up and down the loch for 30 years or more. He did once catch a glimpse of Nessie. But nobody has ever got close enough to Nessie to capture her. Could it be that over the years she has grown to rather enjoy the game of hide and seek? I don't know. Maybe I'd like to play hide and seek like that too. Hello, we're now going to make two crafts about the Loch Ness Monster. The first one is you all have a photo to download, and if not, email us at info@celticfest.org, and you can turn your coloring sheet into a fun picture like this of Nessie going around the lake, and maybe you can even draw yourself along the lake itself. But they call it, in Scotland, they call lakes lochs. So this is Loch, and the name is Ness. So in the same way we have like Beltsville Lake, this is called Loch Ness. But next we're going to make a craft. So get out your Play-Doh, and I have red and yellow Play-Doh to do. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our red Play-Doh, and you're going to make a tube. So you roll it out, because now you're basically making the body of the Loch Ness Monster. So I like to make it long and skinny. Just keep on rolling it and rolling it. So it's long and skinny, kind of like a snake. Because they don't know if it's a lizard or an alligator or what exactly it is, but they just think it's a monster. And then you're going to cut it in at least 4 sections. Now I have a plastic knife, but you can use whatever. Or you can even break it apart with your fingers. Now, this is going to be the first lump. So you take it and you smash it down, because the idea is we're going to trick people into thinking that its body is below the water. There we go. There we go. This is the third part. And with this part then, put it in, and you can pinch it at the top, and it's kind of like a head. And your desk is the river, or the lake. And then they actually believe that there's scales on the Loch Ness Monster. So you can make tiny balls that are kind of like points, almost like a dinosaur. And you put those on top of the Loch Ness Monster. And it can swim around your table. And you can put it on a plate or just have fun with it, or break it apart in bigger spots. And up here you can give it 2 eyes. And then you can tell your family that it's Nessie the Loch Ness Monster. So thank you for joining us today. We hope that you enjoyed the book about the Loch Ness Monster. And please check us out at www.celticfest.org. And thank you, Cops and Kids.